There's a strange justice woven into the fabric of the universe. Every time someone throws thorns in your path, the ground remembers, and eventually, they bleed walking the same trail they tried to ruin for you. That's not revenge, that's cosmic balance, the law no one escapes. Chosen one, you were never meant to play by their rules. While they tried to play puppeteer, life made them the lesson. The ones who laughed while planting seeds of sabotage are now being choked by the very roots they fed with envy. It's poetic, it's precise, and it's only the beginning. They wanted you broken, but here's the twist, they only sharpened you. Every setback they engineered became part of your blueprint for greatness. Irony doesn't miss. Your presence haunts them now. They watch you rise, not with peace, but with panic, because deep down, they know your silence is power, your growth is prophecy, and your energy doesn't just shift rooms, it warps destinies. Let this sink in. When the universe aligns with the chosen one, no force, no gossip, no trick, no fake smile can hold them back. You weren't meant to be liked, you were meant to be legendary. Before we unlock what's been kept from you, before the truth rises from the ashes of everything they tried to bury, pause for a second. Hit the like button to claim your space in this awakening. Subscribe, because this isn't just a video, it's a portal, and drop the number 99 in the comments to signal that you're ready to uncover the truth they never wanted you to see. The moment you engage, the energy shifts. The real ones, they stay till the end, because somewhere deep in your bones, you already know this was always about you. Let's get started. Number 1. Stop dimming your light. You were never meant to fit in. There are certain moments in life that feel too precise to be accidents, fleeting emotions that strike like lightning, strange dreams that leave an imprint, memories from childhood that never fade. To most, these would pass as nothing, but not to you and not to the universe. You see, life has a way of placing hidden messages in the cracks, symbols woven into your story before you ever knew how to read them. What looked like quiet moments of stillness were actually signals. What felt like isolation was a recalibration. Those subtle pulls you felt, those weren't accidents, they were early transmissions from a deeper force, aligning you with a path few can even sense. You've always been tuned in. While others needed noise to feel alive, you listened to silence and understood its language. As a child, you may have been the observer, the one who noticed too much, felt too deeply, asked the questions no one dared to answer. Why am I here? Why do I feel like this isn't all there is? Those weren't random thoughts. They were echoes of a truth that had been stitched into you long before this world told you who to be. The truth is, those who are chosen don't blend in because they were never designed to. Your lens was always different. Where others saw chaos, you saw patterns. Where they saw coincidence, you sensed meaning. And that's what shook them, that's what made you a threat. Even your earliest memories hold clues. Why do certain moments feel vivid, while whole years fade into a blur? Why does one sentence someone said to you decades ago still ring in your ears? Because those words, that moment, that feeling wasn't just an experience, it was a code, a trigger for your awakening. Let's be honest. You've always felt like something about you was off, but in a way that couldn't be explained. And the world tried to pathologize that, tried to say you were too sensitive, too distant, too intense, too much. But now you're starting to see you weren't too much. You were just too rare for ordinary spaces. This isn't mythology, this is alignment. When the universe selects someone for a higher path, it doesn't send loud instructions, it whispers through dreams, it stirs intuition, it places you in situations that don't make sense until they do. So, if you've ever felt like an old soul trapped in a chaotic world, if you've ever caught yourself sensing things others miss, if you've been searching for the words to describe the invisible force that's been guiding you your whole life, this is it. You're not broken. You're not behind, you're awakening. And what they tried to keep hidden from you is exactly what will set you apart from them forever. Number 2. Don't fall for their lies. They tried to erase your identity for a reason. They didn't just ignore who you were, they targeted it from the very beginning. There were whispers, distractions, illusions designed to make you forget yourself. This wasn't random, it was a strategy, a slow, calculated manipulation to bury your true essence before it could rise. They saw what you didn't, a power forming inside you, and instead of nurturing it, they feared it. So what did they do? They distorted your reflection, made you question your worth, laughed when you dreamed, twisted your strength into a flaw. They didn't want you to remember who you are, because if you did, the mask they wear would burn under your truth. You were never meant to be small, but they fed you small thinking. They broke mirrors just to stop you from seeing what was always inside of you. You weren't just hidden, you were erased piece by piece. But here's the part they forgot: truth doesn't die, it waits. And now you're starting to remember. The fog is lifting. The lies they painted over your identity are cracking. Every fake label they gave you is falling off. They tried to reduce you to a shadow, but you are the flame. Chosen ones don't need validation, they need clarity. And once you see through the illusion, you'll never fall for their games again. So ask yourself this: what lies about yourself have you been living in, and are you ready to tear them down? Because what they tried to bury is about to rise. Number 3, trust the signs you ignored. Your childhood wasn't random, chosen one. They tried to convince you it was all in your head, that what you saw, what you felt, what you knew as a child was just imagination. But deep down, you always knew there was something more. Your childhood wasn't random. It was encoded. You weren't just a quiet kid. You were observant, watching, analyzing, sensing energies others didn't even know existed. While the other children laughed without worry, you felt things you couldn't explain. You knew when someone wasn't being real. You could feel tension in a room that no one else acknowledged. You cried at things others shrugged off. You didn't just hear words. You heard what wasn't being said. Those weren't quirks, those were keys to an identity they didn't want you to unlock. The truth is, they saw it before you did: your light, your awareness, your difference. That's why they tried to label you. That's why they mocked you, isolated you, made you question yourself. Because if you ever woke up to who you really were, they'd lose control of the narrative. And now here you are, remembering the dreams, the intuition, the deep questions that made adults uncomfortable. That wasn't a phase, that was your spirit whispering. You don't belong to the surface. Chosen ones aren't made, they're revealed. And your earliest signs were not accidents, they were alarms ringing beneath the surface of your so-called normal life. It's time to look back with new eyes. What you once ignored was screaming truth. The signs were always there. Now you're finally listening. And when a chosen one remembers, the world starts to shift. Number 4, stop hating your differences. Being set apart was the setup. They told you that your silence was weakness, that your distance meant something was wrong with you. But what if everything they mocked was actually the proof? Proof that you were never designed to blend in. You were engineered to stand so far out that they couldn't touch you without shaking. Chosen one, hear this loud: your differences were never defects, they were decoys, misunderstood by a world too small to hold your vision. They tried to guilt you into shrinking, to make you feel like the outsider, when in reality you were the blueprint, the original, the rarest frequency in a room full of static. You were never meant to fit their image. You were carved from a different rhythm, a different silence, and they couldn't decode you. So they labeled you weird, too much, too intense. But let's call it what it really was: fear. They feared what they couldn't define, and what they couldn't define, they tried to destroy. You weren't isolated, you were hidden, protected. Being set apart wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You weren't left out, you were kept away from their illusions, their traps, their limits. You were being sharpened in solitude while they lost themselves in the noise. That pain you felt growing up, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. So stop trying to erase what makes you different. Your difference is the design. It's the very thing that separates destiny from delay. The very thing they tried to humiliate you for is the very thing they'll one day envy. They hid the truth from you, but they couldn't erase it, because what was built into your soul can't be copied, and what's written in your blood can't be undone. Being set apart was never the curse, it was always the setup. Number 5, protect your heart. Your empathy is a weapon, not a weakness, chosen one. They knew your power wasn't just in your mind, it was in your heart. They saw early on that you didn't just see people, you felt them, and that made you dangerous. Not because you were weak, but because your empathy allowed you to pierce through masks, detect lies, and walk through emotional walls like they were paper. They tried to spin your softness as a flaw, told you to toughen up, stop caring so much, stop being so emotional. But let's be real, they weren't trying to help you, they were trying to disarm you. Because when you feel everything, you see everything, and when you see everything, it becomes almost impossible to be controlled. You were born with a radar for pain. You've always known when something was off, even if no one said a word. That's not a curse, that's a gift, and it terrifies them because empathy, when protected and focused, becomes a weapon of spiritual intelligence. It exposes manipulation, dismantles illusions, and shatters fake connections with silence alone. But here's the truth, your empathy only becomes a weakness when you hand it to the wrong people, the takers, the liars, the ones who wore wounds like bait just to drain your light. No more. Your heart is sacred ground now. Not everyone gets access, because the moment you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage, you reclaim your strength. You stop being their emotional sponge and become their mirror. And trust me, when people are forced to face their own reflection in someone they can't break anymore, that's when they really start to sweat. So guard your empathy like royalty protects the crown. It's not your weakness, it's your armor, and it's lethal in the hands of the awakened. Number 6, don't brush off those dreams. They were warnings, not just night visions, chosen one. They told you it was just a dream, didn't they? Just your imagination playing tricks. But deep down, something never sat right with that explanation, because your dreams didn't feel like illusions. They felt like messages, urgent, powerful, unforgettable. You weren't imagining things, you were being shown things. When you're chosen, the universe doesn't just whisper, it invades your sleep. It paints symbols in your mind, flashes of futures, moments that haven't happened yet, or warnings cloaked in metaphor. And while others wake up and forget, you carry those dreams like echoes burned into your bones. They tried to convince you it meant nothing, but here's the truth. They feared what you might uncover, because once you start decoding the hidden meanings in your dreams, you begin unlocking your own power, and that terrifies them. Your dreams weren't just random flickers of the subconscious, they were preparations, blueprints, warnings, like storm sirens before chaos. You were being trained in silence long before you understood what was coming, and now it's all clicking into place. Think back. Those nightmares, those repeating symbols, that strange feeling when waking up. It was never just a dream, it was intelligence from the invisible. Information delivered to your spirit before your mind could catch up. They may have ignored the signs, but you felt them. And now that you're awakening, you'll start to realize how many of those night visions were shields, strategies, and signals. Never dismiss what your spirit remembers, because what they call just a dream might have saved your life. Number 7, stop calling it luck. You were divinely protected for a bigger battle. They'll call it luck, a lucky escape, a lucky break, a lucky moment. But deep down, you know better. That wasn't luck, that was protection, precision, purpose. How many times did chaos try to swallow you whole, and somehow you came out untouched? How often did things fall apart, just in time to save you from something darker down the road? You didn't dodge those bullets by chance. You were being shielded, rerouted, recalibrated for a battle far bigger than the one in front of you. Chosen ones don't survive by accident. You were preserved because your story wasn't meant to end in defeat. They tried to bury you with lies, sabotage, and manipulation. But every trap they set only exposed them further. The universe didn't just let you walk through the fire. It turned that fire into your armor. The ones who tried to ruin you are still trying to figure out how you're even still standing. But here's the truth. They were never fighting the full version of you. They attacked you when you hadn't even stepped into your full power yet. And that's what terrifies them now, because you weren't just protected, you were being prepared. Prepared to expose everything they tried to keep hidden, prepared to win wars they never saw coming. So stop calling it luck. Own your survival. Wear it like a badge. You didn't just escape, you endured. You didn't just get saved, you got sharpened. Now the real battle begins, and this time, you're not walking in unaware, you're walking in awakened. They thought they could destroy you. Turns out, they were just helping you become indestructible. Number 8, never mistake silence for abandonment. You've always been guarded. They wanted you to believe the silence meant you were forgotten, that the stillness meant you were left behind. But what they'll never understand is that silence is not a void, it's a signal, a preparation, a recalibration of power. Chosen one, the silence you endured wasn't abandonment, it was protection. When the noise disappeared, and even familiar faces grew distant, you thought maybe you were losing everything, but in reality, you were being pulled out of the chaos because the chaos was never meant to hold you. The silence was never a punishment, it was a shield. While you were isolated, they laughed. They thought the silence broke you. But what they didn't see was how it sharpened you. While they were busy plotting in plain sight, you were evolving in the shadows, growing in the places they couldn't touch. And now that silence is echoing in their ears, because you didn't just survive it, you became unreachable through it. There are forces in this world that guard what they value most, and you, chosen one, are not ordinary. So you were hidden, not abandoned, sheltered, not forgotten, elevated, not erased. And now, as you emerge from that quiet place stronger than they ever expected, they don't know how to face you because you carry something. They don't understand a presence built in peace, not in noise, power sculpted in stillness. So never doubt the silence again. It wasn't empty, it was everything. And now they feel it too, not as comfort, but as fear, because they realize now someone was always watching over you, and you were never alone. You were guarded, you were chosen, and now you're becoming untouchable. Number 9, quit chasing belonging. You were designed to stand alone, chosen one. The world conditioned you to believe that your worth depends on how well you fit in, that if you just smile more, shrink a little, play it safe, you'll be accepted. But that's the trap, and they set it early. They knew who you were before you did. They saw the sharpness in your eyes, the silence that made them nervous, the depth they couldn't imitate. So they did what cowards do. They tried to make you doubt yourself. They told you that your loneliness was a flaw when in reality, it was proof that you were never meant to walk where everyone else is comfortable. You weren't made to belong, you were made to disturb, to challenge, to carry truth that cuts too deep for the shallow-minded. And that's why they couldn't let you realize it. So they isolated you first, not to break you, but to confuse you, to make you chase community, approval, and connection in places you were never meant to be seen. But here's what they never told you: the most powerful beings always walk alone in the beginning. Lions don't seek the pack, Storms don't ask for permission before they strike. And chosen ones, they were wired to stand where others fall silent. Your strength isn't in how many people surround you. It's in how fearless you remain when no one claps, when no one calls, when you still rise. So stop chasing rooms that dim your light just to make others comfortable. You weren't meant to fit in with them. You were born to stand alone and shine so bright that those same people have no choice but to watch you from the shadows. They tried to keep you in the dark. Stand tall, alone isn't empty, it's sacred. Number 10, stop shrinking your curiosity. It's the key to your real power, chosen one. Let's make one thing clear. Your curiosity was never a flaw. It was a weapon, a code, a fire that couldn't be extinguished no matter how many times they tried to smother it. They saw it early, how your questions sliced through illusion, how your mind wandered where others didn't dare. So if you've made it this far, chosen one, understand this wasn't just a video. It was a mirror, a message, and a divine reminder. You didn't land here by accident, your soul was led. If something within you stirred, if a memory returned, a truth awakened, or a fire was reignited, don't just scroll past. Hit that like button to anchor this energy, subscribe so you never miss the downloads meant for you, and comment 99 if your spirit whispered, "I remember now." And for those who feel deeply connected, who know this path is sacred and want to walk it with a soul tribe, consider joining the channel. It's not just support, it's alignment. The real ones stay until the end, because they're not just watching, they're rising. And if you feel that shift, you were always meant to.